What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Joe and this is Wildlife with Wardy. On today's episode, I'm going to be going through 10 of my favourite photos that I took during my trip to Africa. And joining me is a very special guest. This is my friend, Willow. Say hello to everybody, Willow. Willow is a puppy that Anna and I are fostering while we're staying here in Tahoe for the ski season. Okay, let's get down to business. So, I have chosen 10 photos, 5 from my time in Namibia and 5 from my time in South Africa when I was volunteering there back in October and November of last year. It was a little bit easier to choose the 5 photos from Namibia because I didn't have my camera on me anywhere near as much of the time as when I was in South Africa. The type of volunteering that I was doing in Namibia was very hands-on and physical. There was a lot of laboring involved and quite a lot of it was quite dirty. So obviously I didn't want to carry my camera around with me at risk of getting it damaged or covered in dust or dirt. When I was in South Africa, the 2 weeks of volunteering that I did there was basically sitting on a game vehicle and driving around a giant game reserve every single day doing animal counts. That meant that I could carry my camera with me all of the time. So I took an incredible amount of photos during that time in South Africa. So it was definitely a lot harder for me to choose 5 photos from the South Africa time than it was from the Namibia. Let's jump into the Namibia photos first. Okay, so this first photo here is of a white rhino. This was taken while we were on one of our daily activities called Rhino Rangers, which is where you went over into the game reserve across the road from the main volunteering area. And you spent the afternoon looking for the rhinos within the game reserve. Why can't they be sleeping like they were earlier? My mum's coming out. I really love this photo. I think with the baby rhino just in front running away, and I don't know if this was mum or dad, but taking a look kind of back over their shoulder just to have a look at us while we were pulling up alongside them to take the photo. I just think it's a really well composed photo. It's got lovely colours and yeah, I really like it. This next photo was actually also taken on Rhino Rangers. I know it's not of a rhino, but you do see other animals while you're driving around within the private game reserve. And this is a female lion who we found feeding on an antelope. She was sat down within the grass with another lion and they were both feeding on the antelope together. And I got this really stunning up-close picture of her face, which has just got so much detail in it. I really love how her eyes look and the blades of dry grass just kind of covering little bits of her face. She thought she was quite well covered by it, I think, but as you can tell, it was quite easy to see her where she was lying down. We actually got really close. If I'm honest, probably slightly too close to this lion for me to be totally comfortable. Our guide was completely fantastic and was very well versed on the behaviors of lions and how they see us when you're in a safari vehicle and you're in the reserve. And as long as you keep basically all of your limbs within the vehicle, the lions will only see you as kind of one big animal rather than an individual. But as soon as you put one of your limbs out, they kind of spot that as breaking away from the main shape that they see, and they would attack you. So it's really important that you keep all of your kind of arms and legs within inside the vehicle while you're driving around the game reserve. Okay, so the third photo here is of a southern masked weaver. These were absolutely everywhere at the wildlife sanctuary. They were weaving these beautiful nests that hang from the end of branches on trees. And it has a hole in the bottom of the nest, and the birds will basically spend all of their day, the male birds will spend all of their day weaving this really intricate nest for their females. And once the male has finished weaving the nest, the female will come and inspect it. And if they don't like the nest, then the male will tear the nest apart and then completely start again from scratch until he makes one that is satisfactory enough for his female counterpart. They are a really beautiful bird. They have this very black face that you can see here in the photo, as well as a very piercing red eye and then this beautiful yellow plumage, really lovely yellow feathers. but it's very entertaining watching them build their nest all day just for the lady to show up and tell them to start all over again. So this fourth photo here is of an elephant that we saw again while we were out on rhino ranges. This is when I had my camera for the longest amount of time because we were in a safari viewing vehicle and we were driving around, so there wasn't any risk of me getting my camera dirty, and we weren't doing any physical labor either. So I got lots and lots of photos of some really awesome animals while we were out on the rhino ranges activity. Now this elephant, we actually got out of the truck to view it. Our guide took us a little bit closer. We went for a bit of a walk towards the elephant as a big group, and our guide advised us that if the elephant does become angry, we must stand our ground and act as kind of one big group. Again, similar to the lion earlier, if we all stand together, we look a lot bigger than if we're an individual. So the guide really heavily emphasized that if the elephant does become angry or decides to bluff charge us in any way, it's really important we stand where we are. And this elephant did actually bluff charge us after this photo was taken, and 2 or 3 of the girls in our group immediately ran away, and the guide got very, very angry at them. But I was able to capture this fantastic photo, and the lighting was just brilliant at the time. It was getting towards the end of the day, the sun was starting to set, and it was casting this really lovely light over the elephant while it was feeding. So the fifth photo that I have here is of 2 scaly feathered weavers. These little guys would hang around on branches in pairs or even bigger groups a lot of the time, and they really varied in size. There were some quite large ones and then quite a lot of very, very tiny ones. Typically when you see kind of a bird species, they tend to be very similar sizes, but this one, yeah, really varied in how big it was. And they had these really funny kind of mustaches or frowns that you can see in the photo here. So yeah, it really makes them look like they're quite angry and annoyed. And moments before I took this photo, the photo that I took before it was of both of them with their eyes closed. I think they heard the sound of my camera shutter and then both looked over, so it does look like they are quite annoyed at me. But yeah, a really, really lovely photo, very nice lighting, and I would love to put this one in a frame and hang it on the wall as well. I think it would make a really nice print for somebody. Okay, so now on to the South Africa photos. So the first photo here from the South Africa volunteering time was of a white-backed vulture. I absolutely love this photo. This has got to be one of my favorite photos that I took on the whole time that I was in Africa. There was a massive number of vultures flying over the private game reserve in South Africa all of the time. The majority of them were so high in the sky that trying to actually get a good photo of them was pretty difficult to do. So I saw this one perching on, as you can see, a dead branch in a tree, and I took so many photos of it in loads of different focal lengths with my camera, and this was my favorite of the lot. I just think the colors of the bird's kind of wings and feathers here, this nice kind of browny khaki color, matched with the lovely blue background, the blue sky in the background, just made for a really, really awesome photo. Okay, so the second photo here is of a black rhino. Now there are some quite distinct differences in the features between a white rhino and a black rhino. The most notable difference between them is probably the shape and size of their heads. The white rhinos have got a much longer and square, blocky head, whereas the black rhinos seem to be a little bit more round and a bit more cute kind of looking. But the black rhinos really are such stunning creatures. They're very inquisitive. On multiple occasions, they came right up close to the safari vehicle that we were driving around with and came and kind of sussed us out. They don't have very good eyesight, so they rely a lot on their sense of smell. This photo here shows a black rhino with an oxpecker sat on its back. The oxpeckers you'll see sitting and picking off all sorts of different things off of the animals, and they'll be on giraffes, they'll be on rhinos, they'll be on zebras, just about anything that's out there. You'll find these little oxpeckers sat picking kind of grubs and bits of skin and all sorts of things off of the animals, keeping them clean. Now this next photo is of a southern yellow-billed hornbill. I would say that I probably saw the most of this one. It had a very, very distinctive yellow bill, and also this kind of red turkey type eye and neck that you can see in the photo here quite clearly. But this is probably the closest that I got to one at any point. It was perched in a tree right next to the vehicle. We drove right past the tree and stopped, and I was able to take this really, really detailed photo. I just really love how much detail was captured in this shot. The fourth photo that I have here is of a giraffe. Now, I absolutely loved seeing giraffes. I'd never seen one before, probably seen one in a zoo at some point when I was growing up, but seeing them here in Africa was just incredible. Every time I saw one, I was taking photos of them. It never got old, and I just think they're such extraordinary creatures. Their body is just so bizarre, with obviously their incredibly long neck and long legs, and then this kind of smaller sized body in between. Yeah, the patterns on each one are unique, and the colouring. This is obviously got quite light colours down towards its legs, and then much kind of darker colours on the neck. But there were some really old males that were incredibly dark in colour, and others that were incredibly light in colour. This is actually a female here, and you can tell the difference between a male and a female by their ossicones. Now, you might not know where the ossicones are, but they're actually the kind of horn-like structures on the top of their head. They're not horned because they're still covered in skin, so they are called ossicones. But you can more or less identify which one's a male and which one's a female based on the amount of hair that they have on top of their ossicones. So you can see that this female here, she has very hairy ossicones. They've got lovely kind of tufts of hair on the top of each of them. Whereas the males, because they fight a lot more, they tend to wear that hair down, and they have flat tops on the top of their ossicones. And the fifth and final photo that I have here is of a woodland kingfisher. This bird evaded me for many days while I was in South Africa. It was actually living at the campsite that we were sleeping at, but I was just unable to see it. They hid quite well. They would stay in quite shady areas of the trees a lot of time. They didn't come too close to the camp, but I could hear them making lots of noise in all of the surrounding trees. And eventually I spotted it. I set my camera up and I took so many photos. And I just can't believe how blue they really are. They look exactly like they do in the photo just here. This very iridescent, kind of luminous blue color, which really stands out. It's like a highlighter almost. And then that very prominent red bill as well. Yes, such a fantastic bird to see. There were so many beautifully colored birds out there, but this photo in general I thought was a really nice one, with the tree very close to me on the left-hand side blurred, and then the kingfisher perched on the branch in the background. But yeah, a really stunning bird to see, and I think I've got a bit of a soft spot for this photo because I know how long it took me to get a good picture of this bird. So that's 10 of my favorite photos from my trip to Africa. It was really tough picking those 10 out, like I said. Slightly easier to pick 5 from Namibia just because I took a few less photos, but there were so many incredible birds and animals that I took pictures of while I was out there, and I captured some really fantastic photos. So I look forward to sharing some of the other photos that I took with you on my Instagram in the future. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you for tuning in and watching this video. I'm sorry if the puppies made a lot of noise in the background, but they're incredibly cute, so I'm sure you can let them off. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like or even subscribe. If there's anything a little more specific that you'd like to hear some more information about, how I planned my trip to Africa, what company I used for the volunteering, how much it cost me, or even to do with my camera equipment or how I edit my photos, leave me a comment, let me know what you'd like me to make some more videos of, and I will try my best to bring that to you. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.